Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan, and do you want to see some of the new armor up close? Well, thankfully you can, mostly because not only are you getting a bunch of new units through the DLC, but there's also an FLC Unit Pack which adds in 3 units. More specifically, a God-touched unit for Slaanesh, Nurgle, and Zinc. So this means that you can actually get some of these units earlier, see how they perform before you buy the DLC if you want to wait, or in general, you just want them anyway to kind of complete the roster. Some of them are a tad more inspired than the others, but you get what I mean as you start to see them. So what you have here is a Chaos Warrior of Slaanesh with a Hellscourge and shield. You've got the Chaos Warriors of Nurgle with great weapons, and the Chaos Warrior of Zinc with halberds. So you can see already the stats for the Chaos Warriors of Slaanesh with Hellscourges. This is a unit that never really existed on the tabletop, despite the fact that many people had asked and begged GW for many years. Well, you never know, hopefully for Old World. So what you're getting is a bog standard Chaos Warrior. The stats don't really change that much, but they've got the defender traits because they're quite defensive. They've got access to the Mark of Slaanesh, which gives them immune to psychology, Strider, and so on. They're there to pretty much act as your shield, and they do it really well from what I've been seeing. The second unit, which unfortunately doesn't look too different, barring the Mark of Zinc on the armor, is the Chaos Warrior of Zinc with halberds. So it's not really too different other than the fact that it does have barrier and it has magical attacks, though as a fun fact, you guys who used to play the tabletop will know this was kind of like a standard build for Chaos Warriors if you used them with Mark of Zinc. You wanted them with halberds, so it's actually really nice. So if anything, they can be defensive because of the barrier, but they're mostly here to be anti-large, and they do that very well. Use them against big monsters, and they'll do the most damage that they can do. In general, I think this is just mostly added in as a bit of a throwback to the tabletop builds. You'll see that with the next unit too, and I'm all for that. I'm honestly all for that. It just kind of feels nice. Some more Zinchian stuff would have been better though. It's just an avian helmet or something like that would have just been nice. Especially when you start looking towards the Chaos Warriors of Nurgle with great weapons, another tabletop build, very popular. I actually have a bunch of great weapons that I need to paint up for my own Chaos Warriors. But you see, these look more Nurgle-ish. Not only do they have the Mark of Nurgle, but the helmets are very Nurgle style, all the horns and all that type of stuff. So this, from a distance, looks like a Chaos Warrior of Nurgle, and it's just done so well. It's just like the Slaaneshi Warriors, which theme really nicely, but the Zinchian ones are just a little bit Anyway, stat-wise, these are a little bit better. I've got the comparison there. It's got a bit more HP. They're slower, but they do a lot more damage, and that's the thing. These are Chaos Warriors of Nurgle. They're not supposed to be running around. They're supposed to be just being able to take a punch and also throw a punch back when they so need to, and I think that they do it very well. Plus, they look grim. Yes, they don't look as postulant as people might have expected, but they look muted, and it's just a very good look. So these units themselves are completely FLC, meaning that you don't have to buy the DLC to get them, and they're pretty good because they add a lot of flavor to the packs. I can understand why Creative Assembly made them free, because these are kind of cornerstone units. Well, mind you, the Hellscourges never existed on the tabletop, but the halberds on Zinc and the great weapons on Nurgle, it would have been a massive shame if we would have had to pay for those, considering that they are literally units that you would see in typical builds in Warhammer Fantasy 8th edition, because, theming was an important thing, especially if you just kind of like to theme your armies, which I was a big fan of, so these things are just, really nice to see. I do have a slight issue with the Hellscourge unit. It seems that when they charge in, they will use the whip, but then afterwards they just kind of shield bash a lot. I'm not sure if that's just an animation issue. Keep in mind, obviously, I am using an early build, so yeah. But overall, they do quite well. I'm just showing them fighting some Plague Bearers because I kind of like fighting Plague Bearers. They've become a nice testing unit. The Hellscourges do quite well. The obviously, the great weapons do well too, despite the fact that the enemy doesn't have any armor. And hell, even the halberds were doing all right too. So I can't really complain, and that's not fighting with anything else. They do have a caster there, but he has no spells, but he is doing damage as a Lord option. But yeah, the purpose of this video was to showcase the stats of the unit, just in case if you wanted to see them, because they're completely for free, and yeah, it's a new unit. It's always nice when we get stuff for free, Obviously, Khorne didn't need anything because the additional hand weapons was already in base game for Warhammer 3 anyway, so we've got pretty much all the typical nostalgia tabletop ones, which is always nice, and I'm so happy that we actually have them for free. What do you guys think about the units? I think the Zinchian ones could have been a little bit more effort, but other than that, I'm quite happy. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion.